back. I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Bond Group in Waltham, Massachusetts, we're getting the opportunity to drive a beautiful example of a 1965 Volkswagen Karmann Ghia. And this is what happens when you give the Italians a utilitarian people's car and tell them to design something a little more interesting. This is so beautiful and it's luxurious in feel, but it's still a 4-cylinder air-cooled Volkswagen underneath. However, this one has been punched up quite a bit. The regular Karmann Ghia would have had about 60 horsepower with its 12, I think 13 and 1600 cc engines. This one has been sent out really redone. Basically a hot rod now at about 130 to 140 horsepower. I'll put the displacement in the bottom if the owner sends me the information, but I don't want to misquote it. But holy cow, is this thing fast. And it's connected to a Freeway Flyer transmission, so it's got these short, close ratio gears, and its 4-speed makes it a little ripper. In fact, this thing really gets off the line in an alarming way. I was not expecting this to be quite so fast. So right off the bat, when I started driving this thing, it was evoking the feeling of a Porsche Speedster with like a Wilhoit engine, which, boy, oh boy, that's an expensive sentence, and this is not going to cost you anywhere near as much. But here's the thing. The owner, big Porsche guy, put in Speedster seats, so it actually does kind of give you the feeling of being in a Porsche when you're driving this thing. Anyway, I love Karmann Ghias because they're gorgeous and rear engine, but also I love the feeling of opening what looks like a trunk and just having a engine stuffed in there. This is the coolest thing ever. Everything is available and open, and this, you can tell, is some expensive, classy work on a Volkswagen engine. And that's the beauty of this. This is not a Porsche engine that's been thrown into the Karmann Ghia. So this is actually a Volkswagen engine that's been punched up and massaged by a well-known builder out in California, which is helpful because it means it'll last forever. But you do have some storage up front, not a ton, but you've got your fuel tank, you've got your spare tire, which looks gorgeous. I've got a bunch of my camera equipment, and he's got this clever 1965 Volkswagen Ghia plaque up here for car shows. I love it. The two-tone paint looks fantastic, and because it only has a mirror on the driver's side, the passenger side is perfectly clean. All these lines just look outrageous. And the more I look at this car, the more I appreciate it. They always struck me when they drive by, but if you get to really spend some time walking around the car, you'll start to see all the little shapes and angles and how everything comes together. And the two-tone really does a good job of bringing out and highlighting some of those curves. So anyway, I'm sure you could wax poetic about how beautiful this thing is, but I'm going to tell you right now, this thing is quick, and we're going to go out for a drive, and I am so excited to show you a fast Karmann Ghia. I was not expecting to say that sentence. Inside, this is a 2+2, but it is pretty small back there, and because of the shape of this roofline, it's definitely not going to be that comfortable. What you'll also notice is that this rear glass pops out for ventilation, which I really dig. Inside, we have this tight little pedal box, which is phenomenal, but you've got to just make sure that your foot is pretty much right here on that clutch. Otherwise, you're going to start hitting that steering column instead of getting that clutch all the way disengaged. Simple gauge layout, speedometer, fuel, and tach, which I love because it does that when you turn power onto it. An original radio, little ashtray guy here, glove box, and some very basic HVAC controls because this just has heat exchangers. It's air cooled, so you don't have any coolant going through heater cores. In fact, you just need the heat to go through the heat exchanger from the exhaust, and then that will pull air into the cabin. So let's get it started up, and you got to listen to this thing. It's a chilly day, but we've warmed it up a little bit, so now it's very happy and excited to go for a drive. Let's get our seatbelt on. I love these buckles. Check this out. This is cool. All the little emblems and stuff on these cars are just so special and beautiful looking. I love the size of these cars because you just reach over and roll up your windows, but yet you still have all this space down here. Like, it does feel pretty wide and open in the front because you don't have some giant tunnel or center console, and that just feels like a Porsche Speedster for way less money. I gotta get used to this super short first gear. I can't believe I'm having to temper myself in this car right now. That is how fast it is. Sometimes local authorities do sit along here. I have met them. I didn't expect that in this 1960s Volkswagen. C30, very cool, looks good in silver. I did not expect that I was going to have to temper myself in this. When they said they had a Karmann Ghia, they didn't tell me it was like the perfect hot rod version. Go nice and slow past the Grumman. Oh, it's good. Oh, this is great. The only other Karmann Ghia I've driven was a convertible, and it was fairly original. You know, it had been like a DIY project for someone over the years, it seemed, but it was rough around the edges, and it really felt loosey-goosey and a little tired and worn, which is fine if you're buying yourself a project or if it's your car and you're trying to make it something you want. But it didn't make for a wonderful first impression. This is the one. What's crazy is that you could bring this to a Porsche rally with a bunch of guys in 356s and Speedsters and such and fit right in and probably mob with them in the canyons or on the highway. Look at that, nice juicy fourth gear. I like that. That's like a great cruising gear. We'll take this out on the highway in a little bit too, just to see how she does, because that's the thing, is you want this car to do everything. You want it to be your runabout around town. You could commute to work in it on nice sunny days if you want to have a little bit of style and flair. But you also want to be able to go long distances if you want to bring it somewhere. This thing just wants to run. I'm shocked at how quick this thing is. I was not expecting this whatsoever. I gotta keep it in third. It's a little tall for fourth, which again, wonderful for highway, I'm sure, but around here, this is it. Takes the bumps okay. I mean, we're in New England, so we don't have perfect roads, and you need something that can handle it. There's plenty of sidewall in these tires. And the brakes are still confidence-inspiring, which is great. Let's see, does he like it or does he hate me? You never know. I look like I'm going faster than I am just because I'm in a little red car. It's loud. This is so cool. Oh, I'm happy. See what this turning radius looks like. Oh, that's great. By the way, if you're walking on the road or running on the road, that's not the side you do it on. You walk into traffic, you run into traffic, you ride a bicycle with traffic. Anyway, that's your top tip for the day for safety. Go nice and easy past this fella. Oh, I'm kind of in love with this thing. Let's crawl through town a little bit and talk about these seats. The Speedster seats are perfect for this car. I don't think I would have thought to do this. If you have a Karmann Ghia, get yourself Speedster seats. It's going to change the game. You're going to love your car so much more. These are supportive, they're nice and low, they're adjustable, and they're on these nice new rails, so they actually move forward and backwards. So if you're driving something from 1965 and you haven't like lubricated the seat rails on your old car and it's original, I would imagine it's a nightmare to move the car forward and back, these seats. But these just, oh man, upgrade the little things. The steering in this car feels so dialed. I can feel everything. Obviously, it's not power assisted, so that's helpful, but it's tight. You know, you can tell that all the things that are necessary to make a car good have been gone through on this. And refreshing, you know, steering, brakes, engine, all these things culminated in something really incredible, which someone else probably spent a ton of money on, and you, as a secondhand buyer, are likely going to reap the rewards of that. The shifter feels so good. So in addition to what I think are, you know, shortened gears and such, obviously added power, but it's also a short shifter, which complements everything really well, because I don't have to lean out of my seat to reach that, which is what I would have to do in an original Speedster or Volkswagen kind of thing. Usually those are really long throws, and this actually tightens it up, but it doesn't ruin the experience or make it feel sketchy. Told me it was quick, but like a lot of people tell me their cars are quick, but this one, like, he's not joking. This thing really boogies. What a joy. What a straight up delight to drive. Yes. Build more Volkswagen hot rods, guys. This is where it's at. This is joy. Aesthetically, I love that it doesn't have that passenger mirror on the wing, but I would like one just as a driver. I can't believe how good this is on the highway. Are you kidding me? They're not joking when they call it the Freeway Flyer. I mean, this really opens it up and allows you to just use this at 70, 80 miles an hour. This is fantastic. Look at this. I mean, I'm having to slow down for traffic and I'm not pushing it. I mean, I'm only at like 2,500 RPM here at 60. Oh man, I just want to drive this for days. I want to take this on a road trip. I thought I was going to get bored of this quick, and I'm absolutely enamored. That torque too. I mean, I'm not opening it too wide just because it's sort of low in the rev range, and these engines typically don't love to be high load, low RPM, but it's moving along without a downshift. So look, bang for buck, I don't know that it gets much better than this, because I'm getting, I don't know if I want to assign a percentage because it might make me sound crazy. I'm getting like 80% of the hot rod speedster experience in this, and a legitimate hot rod speedster is gonna cost you like 400 G's, right? I mean, you're gonna spend a lot of money on it, maybe more. I mean, you know, if it's a well-built, well-hoit car, it could go 500,000-600,000. Ooh, this, like a low light Ghia, Karmann Ghia just sold on Bring a Trailer for like 100 grand, something like that, maybe a little more. So this being a really nice example, but not a low light, not early enough. I gotta remember to just use third. It feels like, you know, it wants a shift, but fourth gear's pretty tall. I think you're looking in the 100,000 or less range, so it's, you know, 25% of a speedster cost, maybe less. And it can hang. Like, this thing is a joy to chuck into a corner, and I think because it's probably less expensive, it gives you the confidence to play. You know, there's a difference between throwing a $50,000 or $100,000 car into a corner versus a $400,000 or $500,000 or $600,000 car into a corner. You may not want to find out what happens, but in this, boy, I am just having a blast. This is great driving. So thanks to Bond Group for this experience. This is a real treat, a real exciting one. And it has changed my view of the Karmann Ghia, because the first time I drove it, I said, I don't know what all the fuss is about. Why is everyone saying this thing is like a Porsche? It didn't feel like one to me. Killer caravan. That's the stuff. The Plymouth Voyager. The Grand Voyager. Anyway, I'm in hog heaven right now. This is great. Anyway, I'm in heaven right now. This is exactly the experience I wanted to have. Salt really hasn't come down yet. Let's get into it a little bit. And the brakes to match, oof. Now we're talking. I hope you buy this car. I hope whoever's watching this video goes on Bring a Trailer and buys this car, because I'm not joking. This is it. This is the thing. And unless you've got like Will Hoyt Speedsters or an Emery Outlaw or something like that, you likely don't have anything this fun, punchy, exciting in your garage. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive. And yeah, man, meet your heroes. Revisit cars maybe you weren't that fond of because maybe you just didn't drive the right one. Sometimes that's the case. But this has really changed my Karmann Ghia outlook for the future. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one. What's cooler? Hot Rod Karmann Ghia or Cybertruck? I vote Hot Rod Karmann Ghia. I know everyone's gonna look at it and think it's beautiful, but I don't think anyone's gonna look at it and think it's fast.